I've been an academic advisor to students both in the US and here. I'm currently Dean of Arts and Sciences at Sai University. I'm just telling you this quickly because I haven't presented yet. So you know that Anil's given me this job for a reason to answer this question. This is what I tell all students who ask about this. I think actually especially following the talk this morning on the age of artificial generative intelligence, I think liberal arts students are uniquely positioned to get jobs, much more so than, taking some traditional roles, which in the age of automation will be, something of yesterday. What I think is fantastic for all of you is to focus on metacognitive awareness of what learning is. Really focus on how you learn, the process by which grows in every subject that you're learning, and learn to make connections across subjects. When you can do that, at an advantage with in most jobs and in a wide array of sectors. So you may end up specializing in one thing, doing a major in one thing in college, but you can end up in a job anywhere in this age of disruption. So you could be working a tech job for Uber or Airbnb, right? So the way jobs are working these days, we don't even know what the jobs will be. So growing these metacognitive skills is what will get you a job. And a liberal arts focus, which is currently about breadth, interdisciplinarity, the T-shape that Shaukat Majumdar was talking about, is going to really put you miles ahead of other candidates.
Thank you, Akila. Thank you for that very much. This question is for Professor Mitra. I'd like to make a confession. Most of the questions are for Professor Mitra, so I'm having a tough time here sorting it out. So I'll ask the most pressing one of these now. And here's a question which says, mobile phones and internet leading to the end of knowing, fine, but does Gen AI lead to the end of thinking?
Well, it depends on what you want to keep inside your head. In every generation, there are some things that the education system says you need to keep inside your head 24/7. For example, the times tables. Now you might say, why do I need to know what 17 times 3 is inside my head? Why can't the inside of my pocket be sufficient for that answer? So that line keeps shifting. How much to keep inside? How much can you rely on the outside environment? What can you access quickly when you need it? What takes time? That's the job of the teacher to figure out. If you take your entire syllabus and see how much of this do I want them to keep inside their heads, and how much do I want them to be able to find out? So your questions then change from solve this equation to what will you do to solve this equation quickly? And see if you get the right answer to that. So will Gen AI mean you stop thinking? You can't stop thinking, because as long as you're alive, you're thinking, If you just close your eyes for 1 second, you'll hear the voice inside. You can't stop it. The question is, what will you think about? That's what this school has to prepare you for.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Professor Mitra. This question is for Rahul and Vardhan. It says, recent research states that while academic performance is improving, you can question that, by the way, and children are truly multi-talented, workplace skills are beginning to get emphasized. Why should schools get into this? Get into workplace skilling? What kind of work skills are expected? So I'm paraphrasing from the question to make it shorter.
What kind of work skills?
What kind of workplace skills Should schools even be getting into this?
The first and foremost skill that's most important is teamwork, right? Managing people. So most of us can't get along, even in big projects. And when we go work, we have teams of diverse people, and we can't seem to get along, right? So it's a problem everywhere. So managing your way with people, relationship, teamwork, collaborating well in projects, in schools, is going to be extremely important. So wherever you have opportunities, as young children, I know when you get given when you get projects, you say, can I work with that person or this person, right? Can I only work with that because I can't get along with that third person? You need to take that out of the equation, because in life, that will be the situation. You will always work with diverse people. So collaboration and team working skills, number one. Vardhan, anything?
Yeah, I think when we spoke yesterday about the success factors, most of you came up with all the answers that are essentially necessary for a workplace today. I mean, persistence and perseverance and out-of-the-box thinking, all of those things. And I think all of these are not something you can learn in 1 year or 2 years. So the more time you give it, the better you stand a chance in terms of being able to master and deliver when you get to the workplace. So therefore, the advantage can definitely be built if it starts from the schooling, goes on to college, and then you are able to, you will still have to learn at the workplace, but you will have an advantage if you get there with those skills. And to do that, Rahul already spoke about the kind of projects and all of those things that you can do to build those skills as you're getting there. So I think it's really important to bring those, but it has to be done in a meaningful context. If it is done outside of the curriculum completely in the school, then it becomes another sort of additional activity and assessment, or non-assessed, then it becomes a lot more difficult for students to be able to do that. So it needs to be done meaningfully.
Thank you very much. This is a fun question. We are not going to answer it, but I'm reading it out because you should know there were some fun questions as well. Why didn't you call us to eat the marshmallows and caramel treats yesterday after the exercise? I don't have an answer. Okay, this is a very deeply philosophical question, and this is for Sandeep sir. It says there is a lot of misinformation which is passed around, especially regarding monuments and history. A lot of rewriting of history is being done for political reasons. How to ensure that we are actually providing the right sets of facts and information to our students through your initiative.
So if you're only talking about giving the information of history, leave it for some time. Look at a monument not only from the history perspective. See, certain things which you can change, you should change. Something which is not in your hands, why worry about it? So if it's the government taking a call to change the history, can you do something about it? Then accept it and move ahead, that's it. We've been there with NCERT, so many orders, and that's what we've understood. If the order comes from the top, they've not asked you your opinion. So then why worry about it? You do what you can do. That's it. I think that's what my answer should be.
This question is a great answer, Sandeep sir. This question is for Dr. Venka and then Dr. Vigila. Training teachers and the teaching fraternity, before we take it to the students, especially with regards to the liberal arts, how important is it, and are you doing anything towards that?
Teaching?
Training teachers, school teachers, towards the liberal arts.
In terms of the training of teachers, I think it's absolutely vital that every institution invests in the faculty to upskill and upgrade regularly for currency, because the students are going at a speed much faster than the teachers are. That's the reality we all live in. So I urge all school leaders to invest in their faculty. It's a non-negotiable position today.
Dr. Vigila?
Yeah, a great question, because as administrators, we always face this. The first step is how do we change the mindset of the faculty members to take it forward, because they are the people who will champion this liberal arts, who will champion so many different things that we've heard today. So as faculty members, one is how do we look forward to, how do we embrace this change, how are we being proactive? But this is not only a change, mindset change from the faculty themselves, because it has to be internally driven. How much our system drives, until I as a faculty know that there's a change going to happen in the future, I will never be able to change. So it may not be ChatGPT, it may not be anything else, but how do I look forward? How do I become fresh? How do I regenerate my thought process to become relevant for today's children? So that's a question that we need to have. It's not to keep the job, but it is to keep our own mind process of growth and regeneration. So that's first internal. Second is, as leaders, administrative leaders, I think this is one big step that we need to take. Because many times we focus on children, we many times focus on what is there in the environment, but there is those drivers of the buses who need to bring in that change. What amount of energy do we put in? What amount of investment do we make in the teachers? What amount of motivation do we give them to make that change? It could be the push, it could be the carrot, whatever it is. I think it's very important for the administrators also to look at it. But this, I will say, is one of the biggest challenges in higher education. I wouldn't really know about schools, but in higher education, this is one of the biggest challenges.
Thank you. Beautifully answered. Thank you very much. This question is to all the school leaders. So I think we'll probably start with Madhav sir, and then probably either Rahul or Vardhan can chime in. And it's across, I've been reading through this. It says that I'm saying we, but as 11th graders, we still haven't found our interests yet. And we're unable to figure out at what we are good. I think it's because we keep doubting ourselves and our abilities too much, and it gets very confusing and we feel stuck. Sometimes it feels like we are asleep and emotions end up overpowering our thoughts. How to figure out our way forward? I know this is difficult to answer in 1.5 minutes, but I think we shall try. From the students? This is from 2 students, so I've just sort of put both together. So it's saying, I'll read it again. As 11th graders, we still haven't found our interests yet, and we are unable to figure out at what we are good. I think it's because we doubt ourselves and our abilities too much, and we get confused. What should we do? We feel stuck. It feels as though we are living half asleep, and our emotions are overpowering our thoughts. What should we do?
Nothing. No. It's natural to feel like this, disoriented, distressed for several reasons. My advice would be that just do nothing. Try to be mindful, try to understand that where is it coming from. Is it coming from because of the pressure around us, the expectations around us? Or if it is coming because of the lack of the synergy between you and the world around you? Or is it coming because of our own unpreparedness? So until unless we try to, understand the source of this distress, we will not be able to help ourselves. What I have learned and what I have understood is that the more we seek the help from outside, the more distressed we will find ourselves. The help has to come from within, the realization has to come from within, and the understanding has to come from within. And I'm repeating myself, for that you don't have to do anything. You have to just sit with yourself, be mindful, try that what are you looking for. Focus on the small things, focus on discipline. And when I say discipline, it's not in isolation. I am not talking about physical discipline. I am not talking about your uniform, top button, or the folded sleeves. I'm talking about discipline in its totality, your mental, emotional, intellectual discipline. And if you're mindful of that, perhaps you will be able to deal with it. But just don't worry, chill. You will find your ways sooner or later. I'm still finding my ways. Believe.
Well said, sir. Well said.
I'll only quickly add, I think, more on the first part about choices. I mean, there's this quote or situation I use often from Alice in Wonderland, where if you don't know where you want to be or where you want to go, then any path will take you there. So I think, and that's, all of us have experienced that. If you, as a grade 11, if you're asking us that, should you be sure about what you want to do in life? I mean, absolutely not. You should not be sure. Maybe that's, being sure could be the problem in that situation, however. So whatever choices that you have to make choices of what you want to do in terms of subjects or colleges. I think just own those choices and learn through them. I think you will find your own path. You cannot chart out your whole life ahead of you at this point of time, and that's not going to happen.
Akila, you wanted to add something?
Can I add something?
Sure. Akila and then Jacob.
So, thank you. So, I've been in your shoes. I think all of us have. I think first off, that shouldn't be what you'll be focusing on at this age. I think that's a wrong question you're asking yourself. Why haven't I found my purpose? I think it's very rare for someone to find your purpose at such a young age. I think especially in today's world where, I've often talked about this, so many signals and so many things coming at you, it's easy to get confused. I would just offer two pieces of advice. I think one is, I would focus on gaining some skills at this age. And I think there's so many things that we offer as a school, but even the world offers it in terms of the skills you need. I think the number one on that list for me is communication. If you can focus on improving your communication skills, that by itself will take you very far in life. But I think the second is, when you don't know what your interest or your passion is, I would say try as many things as you can. Because I think what's wrong with just generation, I think what's changed in this generation from what I've seen in the past is you're waiting for the answer to come to you, and I think that's never going to happen. You have to get out there. I think if you don't risk anything, you're not going to find it. So I think those are the two things I would offer you, right? Work on your skills, start with communication, and second, set an objective. You're going to try something new as often as you can. I think you'll find it.
Well said, Jacob, sir. Akila?
This is just from my own experience. I think the question was about how do you find out what you're good at? I think you should just try and find out what you like. I'm just building on this point. If I find out what I like, I can undertake the quite painful and sometimes boring and sometimes very frustrating journey of getting good at it. Because I like it. If you don't fall in love with something, it's very difficult to get good at it because there's a long journey to expertise. It doesn't matter what the field is. So I just say, try to engage with something. And it doesn't have to be a subject, quote unquote, that's taught in class. It can be extracurriculars, co-curriculars. All the liberal arts colleges are looking for students who are really well-rounded also. So it serves many purposes. So I just say fall in love with something and go down rabbit holes, get frustrated, get confused, get bored, rant and rave, but enjoy that process. And when you hit something like halfway good, you'll feel really happy. That happiness, nothing can equal it.
Thank you. And for the final question and to the final word, coming back to Professor Mitra. So the question simply reads, can anything be taught? And it's just one sentence, and it says, can anything be taught? But I don't know how you would interpret it, but I'm going to try and ask the question in terms of how do you think teaching and ways of knowing are going to change?
Well, I mean, when I heard the question, I thought of a very short answer, really. Everything can be learnt.
So with that, wow. Okay. Another round of applause for Professor Mitra. I think that answered the question. They've just learned the synchronous clap. I think this was a great session. I want to thank everybody, all our panelists, our distinguished speakers, for gamely agreeing to do this Ask Us Anything. There's, of course, many, many more questions. Some of the questions that have been asked by some of the students are very particular. It's asking questions about IIT. It's asking questions about how do I get into this course, that course. Find one of us during lunch or wherever you can. If we can, we'll answer that. But those are very specific questions, so I haven't asked those. So I believe, Ravi, now we get into the next session. And from your school team, anchor team, Kevin and co, you can take over. Thank you.